is Regina Zona, and I'm a voice teacher and a dramatic coach here in New York City. And I wanted to take this opportunity now that we're sort of in the middle of summer, but we still have a good amount of summer left, to give some ideas of an action plan for young artists that they can do in these 2 months of summer, July and August, before the audition season. This is a great opportunity to sort of reevaluate and prepare and get all of your ducks in a row. And so I decided to break this up into 3 different videos. The first one, which is this, is all about the practical things that you can do. That is all about the business aspect of preparing for auditions. The second video is going to be all about the creative things that you can do to keep you inspired and motivated. And then finally, the last video is going to be all about the emotional work that you can do to prepare for the difficult audition season. So, in this first video, we're going to talk about the practical stuff, the business side that you need to get everything together in order to prepare for your audition season. So many of these things you might find to be completely obvious, and that's great. And there might be 1 or 2 things that actually inspire you that you didn't think about that maybe you want to get together. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to review your audition package. You want to think about your 5 aria package and really see if those 5 arias, all 5 of them, actually show you off at your best. Now, sometimes that's hard because sometimes we have 3 really great arias, and then there's 1 or 2 that we always walk into every audition going, oh, I hope they don't pick that one. I hope they don't pick that one. If you have any of those arias on your list, you need to chuck them. You need to make sure that every aria that you put on your list that you walk into the room with, you feel absolutely confident and solid on. So the other thing that you might want to think about is you might want to look back at the auditions that you did last year and evaluate how they went. Did you always start with the same aria? And if you did, what kind of feedback did you get? Were you successful? Was it always a positive experience? Or were you one that decided to change your first aria depending on what the company is doing? And how did that fare for you? Did that make you feel successful? Did you feel like you were totally prepared and could offer what you wanted to them? Evaluate how you felt, the feedback, the success that you had last year, and then take that information and help that form your opinions and your ideas about how you're going to move forward in the audition season this year. You also might need to add a few things. You know, if you don't have a musical theater number, actually I would suggest 2 musical theater numbers, 1 up-tempo and 1 ballad. You might need to think about getting that in your book because more and more opera companies are looking for musical theater selections. Do you have monologues? Some companies are actually asking for monologues. So this is the opportunity for you to really make sure that your total package of what you offer to the adjudicators, to the companies, actually represent you at your best. And this is also an opportunity for you to really look at your accompanist book to make sure that it is nice and neat and fresh. There are no ripped pages. If there are cuts that were not properly and professionally, cleanly written in, get that out of there. Make fresh copies for your accompanist so that is all put together. The next thing that you need to do this summer is you need to evaluate your online presence. As you know, of course, having an online presence is an absolute necessity these days. If you don't have a website, you should have a website. Even if you're just a young artist, just out of school, and you don't have a lot of professional experience to put out there, put there what you have done in college. Put some good recordings on there. Put beautiful pictures. Put a list of the roles that are in preparation so that anybody that is looking at you can get a good idea of what you look like, what you sound like, and where it is that you're going, where you fit and where you're going. So that's important. You also might consider having a Facebook fan page. Sure, at the beginning it might just be your friends and family, and that's perfectly okay. But the thing is that you have that opportunity to post updates and get it out to a wide audience on almost immediately. Whereas in a website, people actually have to go to your website to find out about you. So that's something that you might find important. The last thing that I'm going to say about your online presence is this is a time to really evaluate how you are represented online. If you have any compromising pictures that make you look less than professional, I would suggest that you remove them if you can, or untag yourself if a friend posted that picture and tagged you. Certainly, if it's out there, it is out there forever, but we can take a little bit of control, at least to the things that show on our own pages. So just make sure that everything that you put out there, even when you're commenting, putting up statuses, commenting on other people's statuses or in forum groups or whatever, you've got to remember that anybody, including the next person who might hire you, can see that. So make sure that you are always representing yourself in the most professional light. You also want to make sure that you've renewed your subscriptions to Yap Tracker and Auditions Plus to make sure that you're getting all of those auditions sent to you via email as quickly as they come. Then the next thing that you need to do over the summer is you need to tweak your materials. So do you need to update your resume or maybe reformat your resume if things have changed in your career? Do you need new headshots? And also, even most importantly, this is the time that you need to get together your new recordings, either audio or video recordings. This is the time when we are free. We don't have the stress of audition dates coming up next week that they need a 5-minute video. You need to take this time to plan it out. What are you going to record? Coach those arias with your coach. Go to your teacher. Do a checkup on it. Reserve a good room. Get great equipment. Or if you can afford it, go to a professional studio. Make sure that you have enough time to record yourself and then if it doesn't go well so much on the day that you record, that you have a buffer then that you can go in another day and do it. You do not want to save this task to the fall once the auditions and the application periods are rolling, because you just will not have the time. So get that done this summer. The next thing that you need to do is you need to determine your audition plan. You need to map out what kind of companies or programs are you going to be auditioning for? Are you going to be doing high-profile young artist programs? Are you going to be doing pay-to-sings? Are you going to be doing regional companies, regional or local theater? Whatever it is, maybe you decided that you're going to audition for a cruise ship or Disney World. Whatever it is, you need to map out what companies that you are going to be auditioning for, and then be very specific about them, listing the companies themselves. And then you need to do the research. You need to go on their websites. You need to find out when their applications are due, when and where they're holding their auditions, what it is that they require in their auditions. And make yourself a chart, either on Excel or any format that you feel comfortable with. Make yourself a chart where you can very clearly see all of the companies and what it is that they require and when the deadlines are. And then the last thing that I would do about that is that I would set up an alarm for every deadline, so that if you use Google Calendar or any other kind of calendar in your iPhone or whatever it is on your tablet, set up an alarm to ring 24 hours before that application is due, so that you get that reminder that says, oh yeah, I got to make sure that I take care of this, okay? So that you get organized and are very clear about who you're going to sing for. Then the last thing that I want you to do this summer, which is just as important as everything else that I've mentioned, if not more important, is you need to create a budget. You need to get true and real about how much it's going to cost you to go through this audition season and how you're going to pay for it. So you need to include things like audition and application fees. You need to include things like travel, train, taxi, airfare, food in your travel, drink. If you go and get a bottle of water before every audition, you need to put that in your budget. Entertainment. I know you think, well, I can barely afford to get to my audition. How am I going to afford to get entertained? But the thing is that if you go to an opera company's city to do a stage audition for them, and they happen to be doing a performance that night, you might want to go to that performance and see the kind of work that they do. And you need money to pay for those tickets. So put that in your budget. You also may have accompanist fees. If you can, always bring your own accompanist to your auditions. Okay, that's super important because you can always count on how they're going to play your rep. So that requires a fee. You need to have coachings and voice lessons to prepare you for your auditions. You might need to get a new audition outfit. Put that in your budget. And then in your expense column, the other thing that you want to do is you want to build in 10 to 20% of a buffer, because there will always be emergency funds that will be needed for an audition that you didn't plan on, that you have to travel to, that you didn't know that you were going to have to travel to it, so on and so forth. Always have a buffer. Then again, the next thing that is super, super important, you have to figure out how you're going to pay for it. So you have to write out, are these coming from your personal funds? Are they coming from friends and family? Are you doing crowdfunding? Are you going to do a benefit recital to get enough money to raise enough money for your auditions? Whatever it is, you've got to figure out how you're going to afford it. So make sure that you make that nice and clear. All right, so these are sort of the essential business items that you need to get into place as you prepare for your audition season. And surely this is not an exhaustive list. You might have other things that you really need to feel like you need to do, and I would love to hear from them, hear from you about them. Comment below and let me know what other practical business things you need to get into place before audition season comes into play. So I hope that this was informative and helpful, and I hope you'll catch my next video, which is all about how to tap into your creative side to get inspired in this time you have before your audition season. So thanks so much for listening.